How to break 90. We're going to use JOMO to break 90. JOMO, what is JOMO, you ask? JOMO is the joy of missing out. We are actually going to take great joy in missing out on a few things because FOMO golf, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out, is what's destroying a lot of people's scores when they're trying to break 90. So we're going to employ the joy of missing out. Because in order to break 90, all we have to do is remove the waste from our game. If you remove the waste, you remove the situations where you are actually FOMOing, and now you replace it with the joy of missing out on making bad decisions and bad errors. Because when we're trying to break any score in golf, it doesn't matter. When your score gets out of hand is when the small errors compound. It can be a small decision on the tee, compounds into a bad shot, compounds into another bad shot, compounds into picking your ball up. It can be an approach shot. These small errors compound to create big scores. So we have to remove the small errors. We're going to keep making them, but we have to replace them with good decisions. When we can do that, we begin to understand how to plan, think, and commit on the golf course. When you're thinking and you're in the shot and you're finding a way to commit to that shot, you stop copy-paste. Copy-paste is one of the death knells of trying to break 90 because it's in this range where it's difficult. Because breaking 80 people understand the lie of the golf ball. Breaking 100 people don't understand the lie of the golf ball, but they get by because they bump the ball up closer to the green every hole. At breaking 90 level, we have to begin to understand this part. You're not playing to a distance. You have to play to the lie of the ball. You're not playing hit and hope, hit and hope. No, you're playing to a plan of how to approach the green. Once we can eliminate these small errors and we start to see our plan working, we start to understand more about how our shots work, we gain commitment. Commitment comes from confidence and comfort. Now, when you're comfortable and you're confident, you can learn more things. A lot of people may look at break 90, break 100, whatever the ideas are, and think that that's where you're going to be stuck. It's not black and white. As you do these things, you learn about yourself because golf is merely learning about yourself. And once you learn more about yourself, you begin to commit more to what works. And that's how you break 90. Joy of missing out. We miss out on the things we can't do because that's what destroys the score. We enjoy what we can do, and that creates good scores. There's another whiteboard video that's been very helpful to a lot of people. This is a little bit of an update, so I'm not going to linger too much on this, but the first thing we have to do is change the par from par 72 to par 90. All you have to do is add one shot to the par of every hole. That's your new par. We're going to talk a bit later about how that affects your score and your strategy and your planning. The clubs you're going to need to break 90. You are going to need a 175 yard plus. From here, you need to have clubs that go down in 25 yard increments at least. If you're confident in between those, great. But you need at least from 50 yards, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175. That's what you're going to need to break 90. You don't even need a full bag, but you do need to hit it beyond 175 off the tee and eventually have a 175 yard shot you can reliably hit straight off the deck as well, because that's going to allow you to reach greenside from 180, 170, something like that, but must be reliable. As Gandhi said himself, we all have a plan until we get punched in the face. And that's what happens. We get to the course and we take our plan and we get on-course amnesia, completely forgetting what we had just planned out or thought about or committed to before getting there. But you cannot afford to get on-course amnesia. These little things happen for 4 or 5 holes or 2 or 3 holes at a time. You lose complete control, you forget your plan, and now you've gone like 7 over after 3 more holes, you know? And you do it twice, that's 14 over for a 6-hole stretch. No on-course amnesia. Understand, there's no magic pill. You have to go through this. If you continue looking for magic pills, you're going to have problems. Because I used to do a lot of magic pill hunting when I was trying to break 90. And you know what stopped me from breaking 90? Magic pills. As soon as I cut out the magic pills and I just focused on my game, my plan, my strategy, I broke 90. I threw away the Golf Digests, I threw away the swing tips, I threw away the little secrets with the wrist angles and all that. Back in the day when we had magazines, that was the key. Every time I took a tip out onto the golf course, close to 100. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds a little bit weird, because what I'm trying to do is eliminate your downside. Now in JOMO golf, the joy of missing out, one of the key things to miss out in life are YouTube swing mechanics. Now this is what I was talking about when I said I was looking for the magic pill. I was looking for the next secret. Now YouTube mechanics, the swing mechanics, is like the new Golf Digest where I was getting magic pills from. You want to avoid this like the plague. The next step I'm going to suggest is a driving range ban. The joy of missing out on the driving range. There's only 3 situations you need to go to a driving range. Number 1, you are actually working on something with your coach. Number 2, you're working on the thing that your coach gave you to work on, a drill, etc. So you have a specific purpose to go there. Number 3, if you're not doing either of those, you're on a range playing an imaginary golf course. Now you can do this by using the targets down the middle of the driving range, and you can imagine the holes and hit the appropriate shot for what you think would have come out after your shot. Those are the only 3 occasions you go to the driving range. Now that driving range ban is going to free your mind up, because if you're going to the range and just whacking balls, I'd rather you just go to the chipping green and go hit some chips and some putts and some pitch shots, because the key here is scrape and hit is shit. Now this is when I get a little bit salty, I'm a low handicap, and the reason I'm still low handicap is because I don't go to the range and just scrape and hit and scrape and hit and scrape and hit. Why? Because I used to do that. And you know what happens? When you're practicing doing something, you're practicing doing that to use that exact thing you're doing later on a golf course. So when you come up to the first tee, and all you did the previous day was stand there and hit 30 drivers in a row in about 8 minutes, when you get to that tee, all you're going to see is that huge dispersion of shots you hit, not knowing where a single ball was going. And that is what you've practiced. If you're going to the range, you need to be practicing something specific. I guess you could even say if you go to the driving range just to practice your pre-shot routine, that would be more worthwhile than just scraping and hitting a bucket of balls in 15 minutes. We don't hit 40 balls inside 15 minutes on the golf course. So if you're doing that, you're practicing that, and then you're taking that with you to the course without a conscious thought to what you were doing, without a process or a positive aspect you took from that range session to use on the course. Avoid the range entirely unless you have something you want to work on. Hit the chipping green, putting green instead. The distance being key. Now when I say distance is key, I mean that, but I don't mean chasing distance. A lot of people at the range will just whack the ball as hard as they can to see how far they hit the ball, so that they can go tell their buddies that they hit a 175-yard 8-iron, or they average 250 yards with a 5-wood. You don't. So the joy of missing out on chasing the distance, forget about it. You don't have to, because all you need is distance that is consistent. Distance that is consistent. So when you hit that 7-iron, and it goes, let's say, 145, and it goes 142, 146, 147, 150, 142, 143. That consistency in that like 6, 7 out of 10 times range, that's what you're after. We are not chasing distance to show off how far we hit the ball, because then we take a delusional approach and we go hit that, what we hit on the range, with nothing to respond to in front of us, no obstacles, no obstructions, we just whack a doodle dandy, and we take that to the course and we think we're going to replicate it there, picking the wrong club each time. Get your consistency there. That's what we want, not distance. We want the consistent distant. Now the criteria for speed training in the JOMO way of playing golf are the following. You are allowed to do speed training when you stop 3-putting. You do not double chip anymore. You can get out of the bunker in one shot and stay on the green, including, and you only lose 1 golf ball per round from the tee. If you can do that, you're allowed to do speed training. And I bet by that point, you don't need speed training. So I've said you need consistent distance. How do we get the consistent distance? You need an outdoor TrackMan, okay? You need an outdoor TrackMan. Indoor, you're going to be wackadoodle dandy again. Oh, I hit my 9-iron 165. Yeah, you did inside, but not outside. The delusion of hitting the ball far is one of the killers of breaking 90, and we must remember the joy of missing out on needing to impress everybody with our magnitude of distance. Outdoor TrackMan, take smooth swings, play like you're playing on the golf course, get your numbers. Get a GPS watch. ShotScope, Garmin, I guess Arcos is probably also a system. You want to know real life what your distances are. You, with some experience, will start to understand your rollout, but you'll also start to understand, okay, cool, where did it land roundabout? And then you'll start to understand your carry distance, because carry distance is key. You have to understand in the joy of missing out system, you have to understand your true distance. When you understand your true distance, you can make better decisions, better plans, and clear things, land over things, land short of things. That's how we're going to break 90. When I talk about moving away from the driving range and going to use the short game facility, a lot of people go, you'll be stuck at a mid-handicap if you just do this because you can shave a lot of shots when you're... Short swing translates to the big swing. When you miss a 3-foot putt, it's the same fault as what makes you miss a 200-yard shot. It's the same fault that makes you miss a 100-yard shot. It's the same thing. Chipping and putting fixes the rest of your game. Counterintuitive. And golf is counterintuitive. Everything in golf is backwards. Every logic is backwards. When you slice the ball, don't aim further left. You're going to slice it more. Close it up. When you hit a hook, don't aim further right. You're going to swing more across your body. Open it up. Everything is backwards. The harder you try, the more difficult it gets. The less you attach to the result, the more results you get. Short swing equals the big swing. If you can do that, work on your contact in the short game, 1 foot from the hole up to pitching and chipping, your long game's going to get better. That's a promise. That's a promise. Planning and thinking depends on all these things, because with YouTube mechanics, you're not building anything. Driving range, just smashing balls, you're not building anything. Chasing distance, you're not building anything besides just potentially being injured. GPS, this is going to help you to build a platform to play off. Short game, short swing is going to help you to build a platform to play off. Planning and thinking is what the foundation of our game to break 90 is. So we want to bring down the expectations a little bit on ourselves, give ourselves the platform to play, and then you're going to see with those low expectations, the joy of missing out on becoming a PGA Tour pro. Take joy in the fact that you're not going to be a PGA Tour pro and have the pressure of making 3-footers on 13 stimp greens to keep your tour card. This can help you. Now to the crux of the matter. JOMO 90. We have a plan. Our plan is informed from our new par of 90. Par 5s have become par 6s, par 4s have become par 5s, and par 3s have become par 4s. This releases a great deal of pressure. -2 from these. Why? Because to work out green in regulation, you have to take 2 putts. That's our goal, 2 putts. 4, 3, and 2 shots to hit these holes. This is going to give us a strategy and a plan for the hole. Because all you have to do now, on any given hole, whether it's a par 3, a par 4, or par 5, you now have to try to plan your hole around hitting the greens in this amount of strokes. That means that your tee shot is almost a free shot. So if you have a free shot, and I let you go place the ball exactly where you want to place it, to be able to continue playing that hole, where would you place it? And that's what you're going to be thinking on the tee. From the tee, let's say we have 360 yards. Using the game you have now, where can you get this ball to allow you to get to this green, it's a par 4, in 3 shots? But where would you be to get 2 more shots on? That's what you've got to be thinking from the tee. Where do I want that ball to continue the hole? Now the reason I write nuance there is because this is the more key part of trying to break 90, is that you're not just trying to play to bogey every hole, because sometimes you're going to have a little par 3 that's like 135 yards. You can hit 135-yard par 3 in 1 shot all day. You have to attack. If you're on a par 4 and you've hit the ball to 150 yards, there's no point in laying up trying to hit the par 4 in 3 shots. If that's a comfortable shot for you, you've got to attack. And when I say attack, you have to be clever with your attack. When you have a pin in positions that are very difficult to access over bunkers or with water on one side, you want to play away from that. You want to just play it to places where you're going to have an easy chip, or at least hit the green for a putt. The easier you make your chips, the easier it is to score. So always look for the broad side, not the short side. And understand, this is key, understand that if you do miss that green going for it in 2, let's say you go left, you're in prime position because you're still going to get it on in 3. So the frustration cannot come in because you've achieved this goal, and the closer you can get to the hole, and the closer you can get to the hole on these new green in regulation numbers, the lower your scores are going to be. Some par 3s are long, some par 3s are 175. That may be the top distance in your bag. Try your best to find a position that allows your next shot to be easy. Always think back, what would I like to hit into the green? That's the key to breaking 90. So if you are somebody who likes to hit a 40-yard, 60-yard shot, a 30-yard shot, and you have an approach at the top range of your bag of 180. This is key. Hitting too hard is banned. You're banned from hitting too hard. That's also one of the big deals that happens when you make a bad decision that compounds. You try hit a shot, let's say your highest club goes 170. On approach, easy. Relax swing. You know you can hit 170. You're going to have to hit the ball so hard to go 180, and the irony is the ball goes less distance when you hit hard because there's more tension, and you have a higher chance of screwing it up or topping it. With that, instead, just look at your 170 club, find a spot that's at the 170 zone, that's not in a hazard, not in a bunker, not going to screw you, and hit it there. Can you then hit a 10 or 15 yard pitch on? Of course you can. That's the nuance we're talking about. The nuance is you're not trying to just only hit these greens in this new green regulation all the time. When you can attack, you attack. When you have to hang back and understand, okay, where can I get the ball to try and just get this on the green as soon as possible, do that. It's all about strategizing. But when you do these silly things, you don't understand what you can do and what you can't do. When you know what you can do, that's when you start to plan better, strategize around the course. If you can hit a 170-yard shot pretty comfortably, it's got a small dispersion left and right, you've got to go with that shot, right? You're not going to split this shot up if you can do it. But as soon as you move into a discomfort area, remember, comfort and confidence is commitment. But if you're uncomfortable, you're not going to have confidence, you can't commit. And that's going to be the disaster. This is the kind of decision that compounds into drop, frustration, out of a bunker, 3-putt, you've taken an 8. Now let's run through par 5, par 4, par 3, just quick sticks, okay? We've got a par 5, normally you're going to be playing about 430 to 550. Always remember, you've got to hit this in 4 shots. Divide this number by 4, 120, 130 yards a shot, you're on the green. But you're not going to hit that, you're going to hit longer than that. And if you do get yourself into a good position, you can go for it in 3. But assess it in the situation you're in, how you're feeling. It can be 3 shots or it can be 4 shots. And don't feel aggrieved if it's 4 shots, you're on target. Now par 4, you've got to hit in 3 shots because we changed it to par 5. We have 2 kind of par 4s. You got short, you got long. Short par 4s, you're going to be thinking like it's probably 290 to 340, and then long we're going to be 350 to 420. These, you can look on the scorecard. You can stand on the tee, assess how you're feeling in the day. This could end up being an attacking hole where you go for them in 2, but don't be aggrieved when you go in 3. These are almost always 3-shot holes, so always remember, what's that 3rd shot going to be into the green? What are you going to leave yourself? If you can start planning for that shot and get it on the green in 3, you're going to start lowering your scores. Think ahead, think beyond the sail, think where you're going to hit your next shot from instead of just hitting and hoping in the moment, hitting it too hard. Because on here, a lot of people are going to get coerced by their friends into hitting the driver as hard as they can, 290 yards. You don't hit the ball 290 yards, I promise you. Maximum, anyone watching this video, is 250 max, because if you're hitting it longer than that, you're not breaking 90, it's because it's out of control, which means it doesn't count. Just get the ball in play. What shot do you want to hit into the green? 290. 300-yard hole. Don't hit the driver. You're going to hit it. There's a reason they made that hole. They put treacherous stuff there. So when you make a cock up, you take a double bogey and feel like an idiot instead of just, whoops, little 7-iron, boop, 6-iron hybrid down there, boop. Next one on the green, you walk away with a 4, one below your target. Don't do this. Don't get suckered. Long ones, remember, where do I want to hit my next shot from? And then what's my third shot going to be into the green? Hit it to there, set that up, become the player you were meant to be. Par 3s, some are going to be, you're probably going to get 3 long, 1 short, or 2 short, 2 long. And there you can assess as well. These 2 you may be able to try hit in 1, but always remember if you do hit it in 1, miss it on the side where there's no trouble, not on the side where there's trouble. If you're going to play this one, understand that today, 4 over for the par 3s is a great score. Now that's the nuance behind the system. It's there, but you have to adapt on the day, attack when you can. But the most important thing, as you've noticed, is to think. Stop and think just for 10 Mississippis. Stand in front of the hole and go, okay, if I hit it there, I can get it on the green from there. If I hit it there, I'll set up another shot to hit it to there. That's how we do it. We don't stand there mindlessly, hitting scrape and hit shots from the driving range. Anywhere they go, finding it, hitting it again, and then just having no plan. This is the basis. Next, when I talk about mulligans, I'm talking about when you're out with your friends or just you by yourself and you hit a crap shot. Hit another ball. The reason we hit another ball is to just see if we can improve on that shot, number 1. Good. So you've proven to yourself you can hit a better shot instead of walking to the next ball thinking you suck at that shot. The second reason is that if it doesn't work a second time, it doesn't work a third time, you have to begin to understand this down here, which I'll explain to you soon. The third reason is I want you to complete that hole with both balls to prove to yourself and to show yourself, hey, I regret hitting that shot, so okay, I wanted to actually do that. Let's say you pull off what you wanted to do, and that bad shot, you thought, oh, that's it, that's the end of the hole. No, go finish both balls and prove to yourself that, hey, sometimes I can get up and down from this tricky situation and make the same score as what the good shot would have done. It starts to train into you some kind of confidence and comfort, knowing that you can start to get up and down and not get deep regret for what you've done wrong. See, that's the joy of missing out. So once you hit that bad shot, you have the joy of missing out on hitting the great shot because now you have a chance to hit the up and down that you've proven to yourself by using mulligans. Hit 2 balls, complete the hole with both balls, prove to yourself those 3 things. I'll come back to this, but I mentioned one of the reasons to hit a mulligan is because hit it once, doesn't work. Hit it twice, doesn't work. Hit it 3 times, doesn't work. Same thing happened each time. This is pretty much breaking 80 stuff here, but you want to begin to understand this as a breaking 90 person. Wind, elevation, lie, and distance. These are going to be the keys to you breaking 90 and breaking 80. These things are quite key in golf. A lot of people trying to break 90 do not take into account wind. Wind is very key. If it's into you, hit more club. If it's with you, hit less club. If it's into you, it's going to shape more than what you normally shape. It's going to add more shape. If it's downwind, it's going to shape less. You have to begin to find out how many clubs. Does it decrease or increase your distance by half a club, 1 club, 1.5 clubs, 2 clubs? That's from experience. So you're going to have to start to feel wind and say, oh, it's a 1 club wind today, it's a 2 club wind today, it's a half a club wind today. Then you adjust your club selection because we know our distances because we use that GPS watch. That's key. Many people don't even take that into account. That makes a big difference between hitting a green and being 30 yards short of a green in trouble. Elevation. Now, if you're hitting downhill, you've got to hit less club. If you're hitting uphill, you've got to hit more club. You can use a rangefinder with slope to start to understand how much it adds, and eventually you'll start to say, oh, it's probably adding about 5 yards, adding 10 yards. Okay, it's probably losing about 10 yards or 5 yards. Then you can adjust your club selection based on the distances you already know. Now, the key here is the lie. And this is where that shot you're hitting over and over is not working because you have to begin to learn to read the lie. This can be, let's say for break 90 people, this can be something more simple. You know, when you're trying to break 80 and 70, you have to have intimate knowledge of the grass, intimate knowledge of sand and each kind of sand, how it's sitting in each lie. You have to experiment. You have to begin to experiment and just become conscious of this. You have to know the difference between where you're in a fairway bunker or long grass or short grass. When you're in long grass, maybe you want to hit a hybrid or a fairway wood so the club doesn't get tangled by the long grass gripping the club. If you're in a fairway bunker and you hit a clean shot, how short does it go? Because often there's more spin on it, and for some reason it comes up 1 or 2, 1.5 clubs short of your normal distance from a fairway. These are things you have to become conscious of slowly. Just become conscious of them, you'll start to improve. But you want to start understanding this. That's going to help you a lot to stop hitting the same shot, because a lot of people breaking 90 are playing to a distance, and very often the distance they have is incorrect. So when you say you hit your 6-iron from 175, was that the 1 6-iron you hit in the summer of 09 that went 175 and the rest of the time they go 149? Play the 149 distance and then understand the lie. So play the right distance from the certain lie, start to understand that in this sandy condition this happens, on a hard pan this happens, on a lush wet fairway this happens, from the deep rough this happens, from a fairway bunker this happens. These are the understandings you're going to need to get better at golf. This is a very tricky one. These two are pretty easy, but this one is going to be the one that's going to be hardest for you, but one you need to just become conscious of. And from there, we can understand what distance we're hitting. Play the club that works, not the club that your ego is telling you, and not the club that you think is copy-paste. Use the shot and the club that works in the situation to get the ball where you want it to go. How do we actually eliminate the waste? Some of the small things I've seen people who don't break 90 do is they often chip in the wrong places, and they're chipping from the fringe, and they're chipping from places where there's very flat grass or very thin grass or very tight grass. You can actually putt instead of chipping. Now I know it's difficult. When you're putting from off the green, it can be worse than the chip sometimes, but if you practice it and you start doing it on the course and get used to it, because I never used to, but now I do as often as I can, you'll start to understand how to gauge the extra swing distance in order to get the putt to the hole instead of leaving it so far short. But around the fringe and around tight lies, you either need to use a low loft chip or a putter. It's going to save so many shots because it takes out the chance of a fat or a thin, which equals a double chip. We don't want double chips. So double chips are eliminated a lot of the time by putting or even using a hybrid around the greens if it's not necessary to loft it over any decent distance. Putting, we need to focus on speed control. For breaking 90, it's all speed control. You can basically read a line because you've already broken 100, which means you can generally read a line. Now you want to break 90, you don't really need anything different other than speed control. You want to be able to stop that ball in line with the cup or just past it or just short of it, not three putting. Focus on your speed control on the greens. Stop and think. A lot of people I see when they're playing golf is they're not thinking. I can see they're not thinking because there's no thought given to any of the things I've spoken about before. When you can start doing that, when you can start thinking about what's happening on the golf course and using your creativity and your imagination from your experience, you'll begin to see drastic drops in scores because it becomes this. You become present in every shot. When you become present in every shot, you can start to remember your full round of golf. If you can't remember your full round of golf and you're trying to break 90, you can't analyze your round afterwards, and that means that you weren't present. A lot of people are not present. They're just auto-pulling clubs. They're getting a distance. They're just hitting that club, even though it's the wrong club for that shot or the wrong distance. They have an idea in their brain. There's no thinking. There's no thinking about where do I want my next shot to come from? Where's the wind? Where's the elevation? None of that stuff. You have to be present in every shot. You have to look at your shot. You have to analyze. You have to walk up to your shot from your previous shot, start to begin to understand what's happening. And when you start to do that, you become so present that you can remember everything. And then when you're analyzing your round, you can start to pick up patterns on what happened. And then more importantly, why it happened. When you can start to identify the patterns and why they happen, you can start to rectify that to remove the waste. When you can remove the wastage in your game, the scores come down toward 80. A lot of people will say analyzing around is shoulda, coulda, woulda. Exactly. It's a shoulda, coulda, woulda system of looking at your scorecard afterwards, marking down what happened, thinking, okay, Why did I do that? That happened a few times. Oh, that's the shot shape with that club. I wasn't aiming for it. Okay, I kept missing my 3-footers because I was freaked out by the greens. Oh no, I missed those 3-footers because they were left to right, downhill, and I'm very scared of those. Okay, now maybe instead of, when I look at the chip shot, I think if I get it past the hole, I'm going to leave myself a downhill left to righter. But if I keep it short, I have a uphill putt that has less break from the other side. Do you see? So you have to be present, start to pick up patterns, and start to adapt. Another key is to understand how difficult some shots are. When you're playing with other people, one of the key things that you can look at, especially if they're better than you, is watch the shots they hit. Watch the results of those shots. Yes, they may get frustrated, but sometimes you can start to understand how difficult those shots are, which will also inform your expectations so that you can stop expecting too much from yourself in difficult situations. A lot of people don't understand how difficult the shot is that they are hitting, and then what they're doing is trying to hit the pro shot. So when you can understand how difficult shots are, and you start to understand the lie of the golf ball, and you've started to think and be present, what you can start to do is match up your shots that you have in your arsenal to get that ball as close to the hole as you can, or in the position you wanted, best as possible. If you're trying to hit a shot, let's say from a PGA Tour Pro, high flopping shot, whatever, to 2 feet, the PGA Tour Pros have that shot in that instance. The rest of the golfing population don't have that shot. Maybe Timmy, the 10 handicap, has got 3 shots he could hit, and the best he can do consistently is get it 12 foot from the hole. That's a difficult shot. What do you have in your bag for that shot? Does it mean you're going to have a 20-foot putt left as your best shot? Go for that. Go for something that's going to work. Don't go for the low percentage shot that's going to leave you in a bunker making a double chip, triple bogey, whatever. Take the situation, the lie of the ball, the difficulty of the shot, and just lower the expectations, the joy of missing out. Remember, the joy of missing out of plopping it in the bunker, the joy of missing out on the 1 in 100 that you're going to flop perfectly, the other 99 are catastrophes. Get it on the green, stress-free. You've just missed out on a whole lot of drama. So match your shot in the situation to the best possible outcome for you. Not the best possible outcome for Tiger Woods, for you. Another thing is wedges, a correct wedge. A correct wedge can be the big difference between chipping with ease and chipping with a lot of difficulty. Because if you're in soft conditions or firm conditions, you're going to need a different wedge. In a soft condition, kind of wet grass, kind of lush turf, you need a bit higher bounce, sometimes a fatter sole. When your sand is soft and fluffy, you need a fatter sole. You need a bigger bounce club. When you're playing firm conditions like hard pan, firm fairways, maybe a little bit of sand in the bunkers, maybe the sand's compacted, you need less bounce. You need less of that big fat sole. So what I found with my Tacoma wedges is that from fluffy sand, I'm using the 56 degree, got a nice big fat bounce. Short shots, or from thin sand, I'm using my 60 degree. From longer grass, I'm using my 56 degree because it's got a nice bigger sole, and the way they've grounded at the back, the grind, allows me to open it nicely. So you want to match up your wedges to your conditions. If you don't, it can be really detrimental. You can be thinning shots, you can be fatting shots, depending on your conditions. Low bounce wedge in a soft condition can dig really easily instead of bouncing off the turf. A fat bounce or big sole sand wedge in a firm condition can bounce and blade the ball a lot of the time, losing confidence. So get your wedges checked out. That's really going to help you a lot. It's the system and the principles that you follow that are going to create good shizer. Now, good shizer is great scores. It's going to be relaxed golf, the joy of missing out. Every time something happens, you missed out on some other crap. You made a good decision, you made a good assessment, didn't go your way. Hey, it's okay. But you start making more and more of those good decisions based on a system and principles of playing golf, the more they're going to stack up, the more they're going to compound, the better your scores are going to get, the more confidence and comfort you have playing with anyone, teeing off at any golf course, knowing that at any point you have the game to just joy of missing out. Further elimination of waste probably from your mind. I'd like to suggest 3 books for you to read or to listen to. I listen to these on the way to golf, and this one I read, and I've watched this one once, I think, and this is How to Play Every Lie with RGC, Eric Anders Lang, and Dylan Fratelli, a South African pro. I think they run through every lie. I'll link it in the description. Let's see if it's still available online. Very good video. These 2 books here are very nice on Audibles because this one you can just listen to on the way to doing whatever you're going to do. Very easy listening and very, very fundamental. This changed my entire putting life. Golf is not a game of perfect. It's going to help you to understand that you don't have to be a perfectionist to play this game and to break 90. You're going to probably get such a mindset change there that you'll probably just smash 90 beyond belief, probably an 83 or 84. These 2, Lynn Marriott and Pierre Nilsson, I don't know how to spell their surnames. I don't know why they picked those names. But every shot must have a purpose. Now, I don't want you to read that other book, Every Shot Counts, or whatever nonsense they're talking about strokes gained. Every shot must have a purpose. This is going to give you insights into the mental game, pre-shot routine, yourself, the way you react. It's going to help you to fix your game. Your game. Everything here is specific to you. This book here, I read the first half. The next day, I shot 71, I think. This one here, I listened to Putting Out of Your Mind, and my putting's been the greatest ever since. And I listened to this one for about 2 weeks, and I shot a 67, holding putts from everywhere. You can see the video and the link in the description. This one here is just a general one for you to listen to once or twice or read and understand. If you can eliminate more waste by understanding every lie, understanding the game is not about perfection, putting is easy, and your pre-shot routine and the way you react to situations is key, that's all you need. Good luck. Break 90. Let me know in the comments down below after watching this video and the previous whiteboard just how much you have broken 90 by and how many times and how easy it was.